Hi everyone, my name is Dre Galindo. I'm joined by our co-host today, Natasha Gonzalez from the First Year Experience Department, and we're so excited to bring on two important guests for today's video podcast. We are joined by Jaime Villanueva from the UTRGV. He's a program manager at the Career Center at UTRGV, and we have Sandra Mireles, the Student Employment Coordinator at the Human Resources and Talent Development Office at UTRGV, and we want to talk all about the student employment job fair that's happening soon. So if one of you can go ahead and sum up what students should expect out of this event, when is it, and exactly how they can get involved.
Great. Yes, this is actually a virtual job fair. Of course, because of COVID, we're not able to do this physically like we did prior. But this job fair is actually going to be through a form of a presentation type of fair. And it is going to be through Zoom. And registration for this is actually done through Handshake. So I'm sure a lot of students by now who is enrolled should already be able to access Handshake. And it's really easy to find the event in there. They just go, once they're logged in, they go under events and they should be able to find it under National Student Employment Week on-campus job fair. And that is scheduled to happen Thursday, April the 15th, which is not very far from now. And it's actually going to be about 2 hours long. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And once students have registered through Handshake, of course, they're going to be able to have access to that Zoom link, and they just jump on board on that day and on that time.
Yeah, so I also highly recommend that students get there early. If you have a specific department that you want to talk to, have your resume ready on your desktop, have several copies that you may be able to send to potential recruiters. But more importantly, I think be prepared to do an interview quickly. Sometimes students get caught off guard, and in some of the job fairs, I've had students come up to me and ask me, "Oh my God, I wasn't ready for an interview. I'm not prepared." Well, be prepared. Dress professionally. I do recommend that. But more importantly, it's about value-driven statements or action benefit statements. What's the action you took, and what's the benefit out of it? Why do you want this opportunity? And it's not so much just for you to gain experience, but also help that department with their work. So it's a two-way street, if you will.
What kind of, I guess, departments does normally attend the event, like at UTRGV? Like, what have been notable departments that students could possibly be ready to work for by attending the employment fair?
There are actually going to be a variety of departments, and of course, they're going to be hiring for a variety of positions. Just to give you a few names, now, so far registered, there's about 36 on-campus departments registered. And including in that list, there's 2 off-campus agencies, which are Boys and Girls Club of Edinburgh and the City of Brownsville Secretary, that's also off campus. And those 2 are more for like tutoring positions. For sure, the Boys and Girls Club is more of a mentoring tutor type position, and the same thing for the City of Brownsville Secretary. And other departments include like I said, biology, continuing education, financial aid, health and biomedical sciences, honors college, even human resources, recruitment area, even with us, student employment, IT academic support, IT service desk, and a few others, for example, School of Medicine Faculty Affairs, University College, the library, University Recreation. So those are mostly one of the most common ones. And of course, student involvement and some of other student department areas. So yeah, they're going to find a variety of departments and variety of positions that are going to be available for them.
Yeah, and I would say to the students, don't get intimidated by the department. You know, for example, I saw one that said neuroscience. A lot of times, uh, the position or the job position is really kind of office clerk, data entry, stuff that kind of every student should have some kind of skill or experience. So don't be intimidated to not reach out to those given departments based on just the name. And the more interaction you have with these departments, the more experience and the more self-confidence you'll have. And so you got to build that confidence as you apply to these positions. So I urge to everybody to talk to all recruiters. In fact, I remember a story where I had a student go to one of the job fairs, and he was walking out, and I said, "Did you talk to all the departments?" And he said, "No." And he paused, and I said, "Wait a minute. You never know the opportunity is given until you talk to that department. So I urge you to go back there and talk to as many more as possible." Turns out later on in the job fair, he was walking out and he said, "I got a job, with an employer that I didn't even think of."
Mhm.
And so that's what I recommend. Yeah, you may have your top 5 employers or departments you want to work for, but then think of others that, maybe in your second level, if you will, to apply. So talk to as many as possible, be ready for the interview, and be prepared to showcase skills and experience you have to that given employer.
I definitely understand that sentiment. I feel like when I was a freshman coming
Mhm.
into UPRG and now I'm a senior, I've worked across, I think, 4 or 5 different departments, and they've
Yeah,
all been super exciting. But I do remember when I was a freshman, I applied to so many places, and it was the places that I never expected to work
yeah.
at that ended up contacting me and being like, actually, you're a perfect fit here. And I'm just so, I guess this is just a side note, but I'm so incredibly grateful for the work that the Career Center does. I mean, starting off where I should structure my resume, what
Yeah.
kind of applications I should be submitting, how to dress professionally, things like that, that it seems so fundamental in a workplace that I like didn't know about when I was a freshman. Like the Career Center taught me so much, and so many of the advisors there were so incredibly helpful in that.
Yeah, thank you so much. We also have virtual job fair, virtual walk-in hours, so you don't have to make an appointment. Yes, we do recommend to go to the Handshake app, make an appointment to see us, to review your resume, to help you with your interview, an array of different things or services that we provide. And let's say you don't have the time, or you're too busy. No worries. Throughout the week, we have virtual walk-in hours where you can walk in for 15 minutes or less, give you a quick review and give you some things to work on, and then go from there as far as no appointment needed. Now, the worst case scenario is students that are graduating, and I get this a lot, by the way. I just had one 2 days ago where I didn't know that career services didn't even exist. He found a flyer. Anyway, his issue was he's applied to several different positions, has the interviews, but never gotten hired. And I always start with the resume, right? So I looked at his resume needs work right off the bat. And so I give him some feedback on his resume. I asked him the first series of questions in the interview. And the first one is, tell me about yourself. He couldn't articulate who he was quickly. And so I said, well, then after we fix your resume, then we got to do an interview or a mock interview to get you prepared for the interview, right? Because I always tell students, make your mistakes at the university. Because once you go to the real world or outside in the workforce, they're not going to be as forgiving when you make a mistake as opposed to us here at the university. And that's why I think, Jerry and Natasha, we recommend students to find an opportunity on campus to build that experience and skill, right? And highly recommend that, because if and I'm not going to say anything negative about jobs outside, part-time jobs, about outside the university. They're all great, but I don't know that many employers that's going to give you that flexibility to study or to take the time off, than we would inside the university. University, the priority is for our students to graduate and master the content, and that's a priority. Secondary is a job and things that you would add value to that given department. So that being said, I think students should really make it a priority to find a job on campus. And what I do recommend for students is to, when they're looking for an opportunity on campus, do it early. Don't wait till mid-semester or towards the end of the semester and start looking for a job because you need one. That's the wrong thing to do. You know, first day, I would say first day, first hour of every semester, start looking. These job fairs are awesome. And make it a point to go to the job fair. Not only, let's say you don't want to look for a job, but then you got to build a network, build connections with people. So when you do need a job, you already have a line of connections and networking to help you as you move forward in trying to look for an opportunity.
Right, because once those connections are built, that's another thing they can put on their resume as they're going to continue looking for a job throughout their 4 years. They can now aim at those connections, faculty and staff, and put them on the resume for another job, possible job within. Still, you know, they're either now sophomore or junior or, you know, senior, and then even beyond that. So the whole goal there is for them to come out, not only graduate on time, but also come out with those tools necessary to find that ideal job that they're looking for after graduation. Because, you know, they're going to be learning, for example, time management skills and organizational skills, acquire hands-on experience, and of course, career readiness, critical thinking, organizational skills, some other ones that are important, presentation skills. You know, a lot of times these students, they probably think, no, I don't need to learn, really get the nail down for presenting to getting my presentation skills down. But yes, you know, a lot of these employers are gonna probably, that may be part of their interview. Oh, you know, aside from this interview, please come tomorrow for a presentation that we want for you to do for us regarding X product or what have you. So yeah, all those are career readiness skills that they are going to come out, you know, with under their belt and actually become a little bit more polished and have all that on the resume. So the resume will be more polished because of that.
I have a quick question. When did these career fairs start? Like, have they started since UTRGV was founded, or is it something recent that we've been offering for students for their?
Actually, this has been going on even before UTRGV, but this time around, ever since UTRGV became UTRGV, it's now the 6th year that we're doing this. So, but like I said, prior to UTRGV, we've been doing it since even when I started back in 2012, and probably prior to that as well. But yeah, we've been doing it every year. It's just getting the information out, the marketing that we're trying to do. We're trying to expand, like in this scenario that we're in right now. Thankfully, Jerry and your area, you know, has reached out to us to get the word out. So yeah, it's something that we've been doing every year.
That's
And
amazing.
It's fun. I've actually attended a couple of the career fairs in the past, and it's always been so insightful, both for student employment and just I know that the Career Center also hosts so many other events for more like outside employment or full-time employment, connecting you with those kinds of resources. I guess my next question is a question we always ask the departments when we're going over like virtual events like this, but how was it like switching to a virtual environment for the career fair? Was it something that was already kind of planned to start since COVID's happened? And how has attendance been?
Actually, for student employment, the career fair was going to happen last year physically, but because of COVID, we're like, we had to cancel it because It happened in March, and then we actually start preparing for these events and this fair ever since November of every year, right? Because the fair happens in April. So we were already more than halfway there, completing everything that we needed to complete. And all of a sudden COVID happens and we're like, okay, we're not gonna be able to do it. We had to cancel the venues, we had to cancel catering, we had to cancel, many things. But this year, of course, since we knew that we were already gonna be, we're still working remotely, it kind of has been different. It hasn't been the same, right? Of course, it's still the same amount of work as far as what we have to put in there, because we're like, okay, now we got to create the Zoom link. We still have to do the invites. We still have to, make all these marketing things for the event and for all the other events as well. So it actually has been a little bit different. And then with the only exception now that instead of having them in person, we're looking at them at the screen, at the screen in front of us. So hopefully we get a good turnout in April. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would just add that it is a learning curve for us. Thank God we had the technology to run with the virtual affairs. But a couple of things that stand out in the virtual fairs that I've already run into, students, a great rule of thumb, if you will, is sit in front of a window when you're going to do a virtual fair where the light is coming in front of you, not in back, because then, it obstructs, hits the camera. It's not very visual. Have good lighting. And these are things that I already see happening to some students, because it's your first chance to have an interaction with a recruiter, and it better be a good one. Otherwise, you're going to go to the one that will. And so skill has nothing to do with that interaction with that recruiter. Have good lighting, have a nice camera, have a nice microphone. Test your technology before, because you'd be shocked at how many times I have people that I can't hear. And, you can't switch it up. A lot of issues with the technology. And remember, some of these recruiters are 1 to 2 to 3 recruiters. And imagine, 1 or 2, 3 recruiters cannot talk to 40, 50 students at one time. And so there's got to be a lot of waiting, is what I'm saying. So be patient. Sometimes these job fairs, you're not going to know where you are in the place of the waiting list, and you're not going to know that. So there's going to be a lot of waiting. Don't log off and log back on to talk to a recruiter, because all that does is put you down in the list. And so I've seen those type of mistakes, but the technology, the networking, or the bandwidth may be an issue too at your home. Turn off your devices around your home. You don't want to have those type of issues, technology issues, during your interaction with that recruiter, because it may be, let's go with the next person, because, I don't understand them, or I can't hear them. I had this one interaction with one student, every other word I couldn't hear. And then I got frustrated, because I'm like, well, I don't even know what you're asking. Type it in the chat, And so those are things that you got to look forward into, that interaction with that recruiter, but also a follow-up. Let's say, you have to have the follow-up either through email or through however you want to, but have a plan of action, a follow-up plan of action.
I think those set of skills you just mentioned right now, it's so different now with COVID. It's something that students needed to take advantage of in learning how to deal with the work from home situation. This might not be the last pandemic we ever go through. So careers they're going to be looking for what students already know the drill when it comes to working from home, what resources they have and what they're doing. I think definitely taking all those steps, making sure microphones working, making sure webcams working. Those are just the basic steps that, and if you don't have a computer, take advantage of the resources that the UTRGV library has. They have webcams and computers all available for renting.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of making sure that you're as prepared as possible when the Career Expo eventually comes. And I guess that's where I can kind of ask the last question. So simply, where can students go to RSVP and get ready for the career fair?
They can go to get ready for the career fair. It's going to be through Handshake because they do need to register for the event. And so the Handshake, let me get that for you. Yes, I'm always in there, but I always forget. It's the utrgv.joinhandshake.com. And that is the link where they can go and just basically go under the events tab, and they should be able to go down the list, and they should be able to find National Student Employment Week, which is, it's actually abbreviated NSEW, On-Campus Job Fair, April the 15th, 10 to 12.
Yeah, and for those students that are freshmen that, never logged in, go to myutrgv.edu, and on the left side, there's applications. You're going to see an icon. It's a handshake icon in red. You want to click there. Don't worry, you already have a profile once you sign up for courses. So once you do that, we recommend update your profile. I know it's probably last minute, a nice picture of yourself, some information. A robust profile really markets yourself to those recruiters, because we have over 600,000 employers. But I know this is for on campus, so you want to go to events, go to the 15th. You'll see the event there, and you can register. Well, one thing I want to that I failed to mention, guys, when you're going into a virtual job fair, when you're going to do an interview or interact with a recruiter, please don't have your camera where you're lying down. I ran into that several times where students were lying down. I could see the pillow. And that doesn't showcase a lot of value to a recruiter if you're lying down. And I asked them, are you lying down? Oh, yes. Because you forget. And so the eye draws to your background just naturally, guys. And so, if I see you in lying down in a pillow, that doesn't tell me a lot about you and your commitment to this position. And I want to mention that because I caught several doing that. Please don't do that. Your background is really distracting. So in essence, really either clean up your background or put a filter. That way, it's not distracting to the recruiter.
And one thing I wanted to add really briefly, hopefully students will pick up on this as well when they hear the recording, is that when they're logged into the event, remember it's going to be it's a virtual presentation, just like we're doing it right now, and they're going to be let into the presentation. But if they can change their, I guess it's called screen name, when they're logged into the presentation in Zoom, for them to actually change it to their full name, because sometimes they may be, if they're using a phone, then that's fine. I think it comes up, letters and numbers come up in their screen name. But if they can do us that favor to change their actual name, because we'll be keeping a log as far as who attended the event, and they'll be hearing from us afterwards. But they can do that, they'll be appreciated. And just one final note, these are part-time jobs. The maximum hours that they can work is 19 hours per week. The pay rates vary depending on the department, on the position that they're needing to fill. And this is also hiring for the summer and for the fall. So in the presentation, we'll have a slide showing what the job title, Handshake job titles they'll be using to go in and apply for these postings, because they're all going to be under actually funneled between 2 or 3 particular job postings that they can use to register. That they can use to apply for these positions that the departments are going to have available for them. So yeah, so just wanted to make that make a note of that. And also one last point, I know Jaime already mentioned about the resume. They can make sure to have everything accurate, all the information accurate on the resume. Just one quick insight from one of our departments is that one of their concerns has been that sometimes their address is wrong, their email is wrong. So just make a note of that and make sure that before you submit it, everything is complete and accurate.
Just like we do with all of our other events, we will be listing all of the resources that you all have listed and your social media accounts. And of course, for anything else Career Center related, utrgv.edu/career center is where you can go. We're really looking forward to y'all's upcoming event, and we'll make sure on the day of and the day before to promote it to our first year students that they can take advantage of it. But if anyone has any other questions or concerns that they want to voice, I think that'll conclude today's podcast. And once again, I thank you, Mr. Villanueva and Mrs. Mireles, for joining us today from the Career Center. We are very grateful. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you, guys.
welcome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the invite.
Welcome.
Of course. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.